off to the principal's office I go. Yo, you think this is bad? Wait till I get my report card.
Welcome to episode 5 of The Principal's Office. I'm your host, Matt Lewis, and it's the show that aims to give you greater insight into educational practice. It is certainly not a 9 to 3 job, as we sometimes hear out in the community. Today I have two absolute young guns. We've got Morgan Davies and Roa Hendy from the staff here at Leakin Public School to talk to me today about opportunities for students, which is something I think we do very, very well here. I know you guys are very, very involved in that. But before we do any of that, what I need to ask you is a funny story that you've had in your career so far. So you've been about 7 years? Six years, Roa. So in the first 6 years of your career, a funny story. And Morgan, I think you've been about 5?
Yep.
Right, so a funny story. We'll start with you, Roa.
Well, something that springs to mind is Stage 3 camp. We took the kids off to Berry, and we have a no junk food rule, as you know. Anyway, co-teacher and I were in charge of supervising the girls' dorms, and everything went fine, no dramas. On the last day, though, we found a massive stash of junk food hidden everywhere. Like, they were rolled up in their clothing, they were shoved into drink bottles, stuck in the freezer, and my personal favourite, jammed inside the toilet rolls in the bathroom.
Oh.
Good effort. Got him though.
Very, very sneaky. Resilient too.
Yes.
Kids are resilient. They'll find a way.
Very clever.
Did you partake in any of those lollies?
Of course not.
I think that's a lie. But anyway, it's all good. It's all good. Morgan, funny story from you.
Oh, I've had some funny classes over the years. One that comes to mind, and always seems to be in PDHPE, in our keeping ourselves safe around drugs. And we were talking about legal drugs, illegal drugs, and we were putting them on a table and talking about them, where you could get them, those type of things. And someone very confidently, someone who didn't really say much, jumps out of his seat and says, "Tabasco!" The whole class went silent. And I was just like, "Tobacco?" Oh, and then just shrunk down, and I was like, "Very good."
Okay,
that one,
yeah. Over-the-counter Tabasco, something you should be looking at there, teachers, just in case any kids are carrying them in their bags. But anyway, funny stories, good ones, girls. Well done. That was fantastic. Let's talk about opportunities for students. Okay, so not every child is sensational with literacy and numeracy. We know that, all right? They look for other opportunities within the school or other things to get involved with. And they need something to excite them. You know what I mean? Because to get up in the morning, out of bed, to get to school, there's got to be one thing, at least one thing at school that you're really, really excited about. What sorts of opportunities have you been involved with? And why was the experience so good for students? Either one, doesn't matter.
I've been really lucky at this school to be involved in numerous projects like the SRC, senior choir, textbooks, STEM, and some PWSA sports. And it's just been sensational to watch students achieve something outside of the classroom. It's just such great opportunity for them to build some confidence, make some friendships based on common interests, and just learn some resilience and a growth mindset that they can achieve things. I know, for example, with senior choir, we went to the Opera House and we performed, in front of like a mass choir with our audience, and the kids were just so excited and they were so enthusiastic. They were just so honoured and proud of themselves for achieving something like that, and that's definitely something that I'm honoured to be a part of, because these children might not have the opportunity otherwise to partake in these events.
Or even see the Opera House.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many times have we said it to children and parents, like, we didn't get this opportunity, but the kids here at this school get to perform at the Opera House.
A lot of them hadn't even been to the city at that point, so they were really blown away.
Yeah, it's great opportunities, isn't it? What about you, Morgan?
So I've actually been involved in a lot of sport, PWSA, regional and like zone carnivals. Also had some gala days, and recently went to Sydney West with the girls rugby nines and that was an unreal experience. I was so fortunate to be the manager, first time it had run, and just seeing those girls out there playing, new sport for most of them. It was a new competition, so just getting up and running was really cool. But mostly like just sport in school, that really, like, you see the kids' potential, you see what they're capable of. Some of those kids that are quite shy in the classroom, they become leaders on the field. And, you know, yes, they learn those fundamental skills, but they put in those, you know, collaboration and role brought up resilience. That comes out, perseverance, even patience, I find, with sport, you know, building up that skill and, you know, trying something different, getting out of their comfort zone. And like I said, leadership amongst those kids that would normally just sit back and watch things kind of happen in the classroom. So that's been pretty cool to experience.
Absolutely, and it gives us an opportunity to actually teach them in a different sphere, because, you know, we're used to being in the classroom and there's classroom rules, and, you know, when we're responding to reading or writing, you know, like, the kids know what to do, but this is a social sense, really, isn't it? When we're talking about choir or dance or sport or, you know, going outside of the school to experience these programs, they're going to come into contact with a lot of other people. So, you know, how have you found, now I know that kids at Lidcombe are pretty well behaved, but how have you found their interactions with other kids?
Yeah, pretty fantastic, I got to say. Every time I take our kids out, I'm always so proud of them, and I always tell them, you're one of the best behaved students there. And socially, yeah, it's just a great way for them to, you know, build that confidence and meet new people and just form bonds based on similar interests, especially with choir. Like, they got to speak to other children from different schools and things like that. And even within the school, getting all the SRC together, like, they're all from different classrooms, different ages, and they work really, really well together. And
wouldn't normally talk to each other, and from different grades.
Yeah.
You know, that is cool, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the sportsmanship, you see it a lot. Every Friday we go to PWSA, and I hear back from other teachers, other schools, wow, they were so great. They were congratulating. I saw some of your kids clapping, like, and I know you said our kids are great, but just seeing them shine like that, you just think, wow, you know, and it's the sport that brings it out in them. And I think that's why these opportunities are so important for them to have.
I'm going to pick up on a point you said, shine, and that's the point, isn't it? Really, every student, every child deserves the opportunity to shine at something, and that's what we're talking about. And literacy and numeracy may not be their go, but something else could be.
Yeah.
Excellent responses there. All right, so how would you measure the impact of having students across multiple opportunities outside of normal curriculum has in our school? What would you think the impact is?
I would firstly say behaviour. I find, especially with those students who, like you said, shine in sport, I think it impacts on their behaviour. And I know a lot of my PBL lessons can be done out in the sporting field, and I feel like they start to recognise those skills. So I've actually got an example. I was teaching my class how to play volleyball. Quite difficult game for anyone to play. And at the end of the lesson, one of my, we've had a few behavioural issues this year. He actually came up to me and he said, I know why you did this sport with us. And I was like, oh no, why? And he said, because we had to work as a team. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's, you know, putting those behavioural things into place without them even knowing. So it massively impacts their behaviour. They're more settled. They're like, okay, this is what I need to do to get along with other people. So I think that's probably one of the things that stands out to me.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I just think they're just so much happier having these opportunities. Like, well-being is so crucial, especially in our school. We're so focused on it, and of course we should be, and I think it really influences their well-being. They're excited to come to school. They want to be here. Our school is usually 99% green in our behaviour. It's because of our wonderful teaching staff, of course, but it's also because of these opportunities that we give them that they might not be able to get otherwise. I know we're 94% EALD school and mixed socio-economic background, so I know these parents would also appreciate these opportunities that we give to them. Like, I myself am from an EALD background, and I know my parents would have appreciated, you know, their children being given these big opportunities to just succeed and enjoy.
Because it's a big step. If you're not au fait with English, as a parent. It's a big step for you to go to a weekend organisation and try and get your kids involved in some sport there and whatnot.
Like we're breaking down some barriers for them.
Well, sometimes that's not
helping our
also
community.
feasible as well. Like sport and other activities cost a lot of money. So
That's right.
we're giving them these opportunities in school, so they're still able
Well, there's
to.
a cultural reason as well as why they can't say, particularly say, do dance. You know what I mean? But you know, I think it also how I can measure the impact within our school is the pride. You know, that they love representing our school and they support one another with their endeavours, and you see that particularly with swimming and cross country and athletics. You know, our kids will cheer on our kids to make sure that they're getting the best out of their performance and they can be as happy as possible. And I love seeing those sorts of things. What is crucial to the success of such opportunities or programs in your school like this? Like the dance, the SRC, the PWSA sport. What's crucial to the success?
I'd say commitment, not only from the students but the teachers.
Absolutely, yep.
You know, being willing to, you know, open for change and try out different things and try and get certain programs running that you know will be beneficial, and then showing up. Just showing up for the kids every day and, you know, instilling that in them as well, saying, you know, like, this is your commitment, this is what you've got to do, bringing in that resilience. You know, we might not have it now, but, you know, if we come to training every week, by the end of our season, you know, might be most improved, those type of things. But yeah, definitely commitment.
Well, let's unpack your role, because you're our sports organiser here at the school, and so there's many hours that you spend outside of your teaching load to actually organise that for every PWSA team. You coach a team, but you oversee the whole program. So there's a lot of hours that you spend on that.
Yeah, definitely. But I think for me, I enjoy it, and I know the kids enjoy it, so I'm willing to do it. And, you know, kind of, I guess Roa as well with SRC and all the other programs she's been a part of, you know, it's taking those extra hours that might be out of our school hours, but,
it's
you know, we know it's
going
to work for them.
For the students, definitely. I totally agree. I think having that drive and that passion behind the project is really important. I really believe that the teacher reflects his or her student. So if we're excited, the students are really excited and they're interested, in just their passion and accomplishments are maximised when they're excited and when they're on board. And of course, just open communication, clear organisation. It's a partnership with, you know, the teachers and the parents and the students. There's a lot of professionalism in organising things. There's a lot of trust, and it's just a teamwork between our community and our students.
Teamwork makes the dream work, doesn't
That's
it? Yeah. But the intervention you had with the SRC a couple of years ago, when you decided to do the SRC stationery shop.
Oh yeah.
The kids were so excited to do that every single Tuesday morning, and like, you had too many people, you know, to actually sell and whatnot, and they had to make a roster.
The roster's great though. They are so excited. Am I on this week?
Love it. So they've really developed their responsibility and their leadership skills through that, and they really enjoy just being part of the shop. And they're also, you know, developing their social skills and with the maths and selling and those kind of
Has
skills.
other outcomes, doesn't it? That's right. That's right.
Customer service.
Yeah, customer service.
I think what these two aren't going to tell you is that there's one thing that's crucial to the success of our programs here at the school, and that's inspiration. And you guys provide that in bucket loads, and that's why our kids are really, really keen to access these programs, because you guys are in charge of them. And when you're in charge of them, they want to be with you guys and they want to impress you. And so that inspiration to do very, very well for you is something you need to take into consideration. And, you know, for our new teachers out there, get involved, because it's such a great way to develop great respect amongst the student body by being involved in extracurricular activities. So, yeah, well done, ladies. What have you learned along the way when providing these opportunities, and about yourself, and what excites students? What have you learned?
I've honestly learned that there's so much more to teaching than just what happens in the classroom. What happens outside is just as important as what happens in the classroom, and just finding out what the students are interested in, and, you know, using it, encouraging it in a relevant and important way for them, just brings out, you know, all these sides, and their artistic side, their creative side, their athletic side, and just creating something amazing with them. They something that they'll always remember, not just what happens in the classroom.
Yes, definitely.
Hit the
Yeah,
nail on the head there.
yeah.
I was just going to add, pretty perfect was what I would say, but you really notice how individual these students are that we teach, and how it's so important to, try and harness that individuality and, do what works for them as well as the whole class. So, if you need to take them out to teach them something, go out and teach them that, because there's a range of ways of learning. So I think I was teaching fractions last week and we broke it down to a basketball game. So there's so many different ways that you can integrate these things, and these kids need it and they thrive from it.
Yeah, and you use it to your advantage, you know what I mean? But look, wonderful answers, ladies. It's just wonderful to hear you speak about these opportunities for kids, and you're so right when you say they will remember these events for the rest of their lives. If we look at our own lives, and even you guys out there, the best years of our lives was when we were in primary school, and there are so many things that we recall from that period of time, and so many great things. When we get to high school, we develop that negative sense a little bit as a person. The light's gone out, but anyway, that's all right. We'll keep going. But you tend to do that negative sort of thing when you're in high school as a person, but and then you sort of regain that as a person out with a vocation. But primary school is where it's at, and that's where these kids really, really do respect, teachers' time and efforts into their programs, and they remember those teachers forever, because that was the teacher that did this with us, and that was the teacher that did that with us. So fantastic. Such great answers today, and only very, very young in their careers, but I could talk to you guys all afternoon about this, but you know what? It's time. It's time for the song challenge. And I know these ladies have been waiting for this. 2 minties, all right? One for song title, one for artist. They're both there. See what happens. I'm going to read out, not sing, just read out some lyrics, and you have to guess what that song is, and you have to guess that artist. All right, we've had a range on this show so far. We've had people guess it like that, and then even in the very first episode, it was like crickets in the background. Okay, surely you know what this song was, and it was "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys.
I would have got
Like, come on,
that.
and Chris was in here.
Disappointing.
Like Chris Windle, our AP relieving DP, danced to that song. Remember that at a conference? Yeah, anyway.
I think he went to a concert too.
He probably did. Yeah, we'll start that rumour. All right, he went to a Backstreet Boys concert. Anyway, all right, you ready?
Yeah.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you.
Count on me.
There you go. Got both two. Congratulations, Rob. We'll give you a clap. And here's the 2 minties. Oh, isn't that nice? Everyone shared. Well done, ladies, and thank you so much for being part of the show today. I'd like to thank you both for being on the show. I'd like to thank our executive producer, Erwin Manalo, a legend. He does all the technology for us. Again, I'm Matt Lewis. Thanks for joining us on episode 5 of The Principal's Office. See you next time.
It's off to the principal's office you go.